Hello, everyone. Welcome to Achieving Success with Olivia Akin. I am your host, Olivia Akin. Each week, we will discuss the roadmap of achieving your personal and professional success. We give you real-life stories on growing personally and professionally to achieve your life and career goals with the help of some top-notch guests. Today, we are speaking with Gary Kleinman. Gary is the founder and CEO of Electrolyte Boost. Gary, a UCLA graduate, is a dynamic entrepreneur from Southern California who spent 18 years in New York. He balances his professional life with passion for cycling and spending time with his 3 kids and 5 grandkids. Known for his innovative thinking, Gary has founded and sold a digital media network focused on gaming lifestyle. This led him to establish Electrolyte Boost, the first waterless functional delivery system for electrolytes and nootropics. Electrolyte Boost addresses hydration and cognitive function when water is unavailable or ineffective, with additional benefits for brain health, sleep, gut health, eye strain, and kids' health. You can find Gary on LinkedIn by searching Gary Kleinman or by going to his website, electrolyteboost.com, or by email at gary@electrolyteboost.com. Hello, Gary. It's fantastic having you on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always good to see you.
I love speaking to you and talking about all things your journey and what you're doing with Electrolyte Boost. And so I want to start off the show before we dive into that by asking you, what does success mean and look like to Gary Kleinman?
Oh, that's such a multi-pronged question. Professionally, it's scaling and helping people functionally without water, because it's an intrusion. We can get into that. So on a professional basis, it's really helping as many people as we can perform at the highest level that they can all day long, and ultimately stay out of the bathroom. Personally, I can give you a whole slew of things about what a success looked like, from seeing more of the world, watching grandkids grow up, spending time with family and friends, cycling, playing golf, getting out of a bunker as fast as I possibly can, not hitting too many trees, and all those kind of things. So, success has many different faces and many different hats, depending on which aspect of my life I'm referring to.
And I love it. And I love the aspect. We're obviously going to be talking a lot about Electrolyte Boost today because I love it. I've loved to see your journey through this idea. And we met right as Electrolyte Boost was starting to come out to now, and see how things have changed, what you're doing to continuously be innovative, all the aspects. But I also love to hear about your start and what you did before Electrolyte Boost. And I didn't even fully know your background and what got you to start Electrolyte Boost before I was starting to build out this, because I've seen things on LinkedIn. You've brought up things in passing. But until I really sat down and wrote out this intro, I was like, "Ooh, that is fascinating. We really kind of have to dive into this first." And that being said, is this aspect of you being a founder and selling a digital media network that focused on gaming lifestyle, which then led you, based on your passions and seeing different things in the gaming industry through your company, to start Electrolyte Boost. So what was the transition from selling your company and having this idea of, I know what my next venture is going to be, and it's going to be in the electrolyte area?
So I got into the electrolyte world because I was in esports and gaming, and I noticed that gamers had pretty significant symptomology of dehydration, and that's fatigue, loss of attention, focus, memory. But their single biggest challenge is that they can't take any fluids, because obviously they can't go to the bathroom during a video game. And so I looked at that and said, well, let's get them nutrients and nootropics without the water. I looked at that as water was the delivery system. So I just eliminated the water and looked at the minerals and nootropics, which unfortunately in many respects are all salt. So no one's going to take a handful of salt, put it in their palm of their hands, throw it in their mouth and say, not only is that not a great experience, I'm not going to do it regularly. So the challenge was to mask it without sugar, without calories, make it healthy, but still be efficacious. And what I thought would take, a flavor lab and a scientist 2 weeks to just throw some stuff on, took a year and a half and two labs and multiple scientists, but eventually we got there. And that's what Electrolyte Boost is. I was fortunate after I was speaking at a sports active nutrition conference to have met the folks from Kiowa Hako, which make cognizant, which is a form of citicoline. Your body produces citicoline, but in an insufficient amount. And citicoline crosses your brain blood barrier and is brain health, is really brain energy, is what it is. And it's not a stimulant, so you don't get the crash and what have you. And fortunately, it's a water soluble powder without any flavor profile. So it mixed really well with our base formula. And we made it and just said, okay, here we are. And as we were doing that, for gamers, people were saying, well, what about surgeons in a 5-hour surgery? They can't get water. What about pilots? What about teachers and people on dialysis and what have you? And how, when you're on an airplane, you look down that aisle and you go, oh man, I don't want to go to that little tiny filthy bathroom. Mad dash to the bathroom. And if you've had any of my experiences, they seem to always be the men's room has that little yellow triangle and says the bathroom is closed. And now you're doing that pee dance all the way down to another terminal. So this allows you on an airplane to not have cramps and what have you, keep your electrolytes up, get rid of brain fog, and not worry about the bathroom because you haven't consumed 16 ounces of water. So really, Electrolyte Boost does several things. Not only is it efficacious for that, but people are going to drink water. You're going to drink at some point here, and you're going to drink at some point here. But what happens in between those 2 points is you are excreting or sweating electrolytes, and we allow you with a great tasting powder to maintain your levels at the highest performance level that you can without being dehydrated, or to look at prolonging your level of hydration. And that's really what Electrolyte Boost is.
And I love multiple things you brought up with that as well, because I remember going back a little bit when you started providing Electrolyte Boost, you and I had met around that time and we were talking and you were telling me about Electrolyte Boost. And I'm like, okay, this is a lot of information. Sounds interesting. And you were like, let me send you some. And I got it. But also in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, well, it's another electrolyte. It sounds interesting because I don't need water. And if you had asked me, now I drink 3 to 4 bottles of water a day. If you asked me 3-4 years ago how much water I would drink in a day, I'd be like enough to take my medicine, because I still drink Coca-Cola, but that was what I drank most of the day. And I didn't like taking vitamins because of the taste of the vitamins. So I was like, I got the Electrolyte Boost when Gary sent it to me, and I waited till I actually needed it because I'm like, okay, let me see in this environment. But for me, it wasn't the first time I went into a sports environment. I was starting to feel dehydrated, and I'm like, okay, well, I would take something else at this situation. I'll take the Electrolyte Boost, expecting the same kind of result that you would get from pouring those electrolytes into water and taking it, like, okay, it'll hit me in 30 minutes, this and that. As you know, you pee some of that out. And within not even 3 minutes of it hitting my tongue, I was on my A game. And I was like, oh, this is a game changer. And I'm like, this is a game changer for me, because as someone who had epilepsy younger in life, I get headaches, which is part of this side effect of my epilepsy. And so when those hit, I'm feeling dehydrated. I sometimes it gets so bad, I don't want to eat, I don't want to drink. And as we all know, when you don't eat and drink, it doesn't get better for you. It can only go downhill.
Yeah, that is
Um,
true.
so I started turning to it of when I started getting a headache. Okay, I'm gonna take some electrolyte boost because I had a headache and then I wouldn't want to eat. Well, and I'm not even exaggerating, guys. Some of you might listen and be like, okay, she's exaggerating. I'm not. Within 3 minutes, I was like, okay, and now I could eat that. And it was those two moments where I started going, okay, we really need to have this conversation, and I started telling friends about it, but I also turned to Gary, and I was one of those people that was like, as someone who does not every day perform athletics or am a gamer, which was his initial concept for it, I was like, it alleviates my headaches. Anyone who gets migraines, I'm like, anyone who might not want to take those electrolytes or use this, or that person having family members who are in the military, they can't go to the bathroom all the time. I am also 100% that person that tries to avoid the bathroom on the airplane as much as they can, to the point where I will be the one running to the bathroom as soon as boarding starts. And people, if they travel with me, are like, oh my God, you better not make us miss our boarding. Like us getting on the plane because you're running to the bathroom, make sure you don't have to go on the plane. And so electrolytes boost in that long time has really helped me go, okay, I don't need to worry about getting sick down the road. I don't need to worry about all these different things. And I can make sure I'm at the best I can
Yeah,
be.
those
So,
those are all, as we call them, electrolyte boost moments, and that's true whether it's on the airplane, or if you're stuck in traffic in Southern California, which we are all the time, and you don't want to go off and figure out where am I going to find a bathroom that's going to let me in or not let me in, especially post COVID. And the reason it works is that the powder, being water soluble, dissolves on your tongue and your cheek, and it's in your blood system instantaneously. So everything that goes through your stomach gets absorbed by the stomach lining. There are enzymes that break it down. So you're only going to get a percentage of what goes through your stomach. Where this delivery system, you're getting virtually all of it instantaneously right into your blood system, and that's where everything needs to go. The other challenge that the water dependent products have is if you don't guzzle it, you're only getting the amount of the nutrients as you drink. So if you take a 16-ounce, with a stick pack, and you pour the powder in of whatever brand that happens to be, or the drops and the tinctures and what have you, if it takes you 45 minutes to drink that bottle, you're only getting the amount as you are consuming over that 45 minutes, and then it's being broken down in your stomach. So we really did change the delivery system, and we're the only one really with a waterless delivery system that is for functional nutrition. So we have this. We're coming out, I think, in October with the same formula with creatine in it, and creatine is not only good for muscle health and now brain health and bone health, but for women's organs. Especially reproduction organs, there's clinical research that said it's beneficial. So we have that coming out. We have a clinically tested sleep product coming out with tart cherry powder. We're formulating a kid's product. So there really isn't anything that we can't introduce for functional nutrition without being water dependent.
and I love that. And I love when you started saying that in the electrolyte boost moments, because I have seen so many of those firsthand now as well. Because if people ask me what I do to get through the day, or, and in different activities, I am not joking. I was just showing this because I didn't use the whole patch beforehand. But if you're watching, I keep an electrolyte boost patch right next to me in my office, and then I have extras. One of them will always be in my purse, so the different purses I use every single day, I keep one in every one and in my car, but I've been in situations where firsthand I'm like, you gotta try this electrolyte boost. I'm telling you, it'll change. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, here, try some of this. And they'll try it and they're like, oh, you weren't kidding. Or like those situations where we're, my boyfriend's in the Coast Guard, he's on a boat, and I'm like, just take the electrolyte boost pack. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, just try it. And then like making sure him and his team are performing at the highest level continuously. He's gone to every conference and training he now has to go do, and he will carry them with him and just be like, my girlfriend turned me on to this. We all need this for our teams. Or those moments where it isn't used in the essence of preventative measures, it is used in moments of really dire need. And I'll use an example. And Gary, I think we talked about this. I was at a bachelorette party of one of my best friends. And we were in the pool in the hot tub like all day. We hadn't really eaten. And we got the hotel, the winery's wine, and we're waiting for dinner. We knew dinner was going to be in like an hour and a half. Sitting by the pool. And I love hot tubs, but I know when the limit and I will get out. And my friend was just enjoying herself. And before you knew it, she was in the hot tub for like 35 minutes straight. And with no food in your system, nothing. And she got out feeling lightheaded and went within like not even 30 seconds, went from like being able to stand and sit to couldn't even sit up in a chair, like needing to lay down. And one of the other women in the group is a nurse, a registered nurse at a top hospital in Connecticut. And she's like, okay, we gotta get water, we gotta do this. And I'm like, I said, Brie, one of my best friends, I was like, you've been wanting to try electrolyte boost. I'm pretty sure I have one in my bag upstairs. I'm telling you, you'll be good to go in 5 minutes. And she's been hearing me say it takes less than 5 minutes. And my friend is like, I don't know. I'm like, trust me, let me just run up to the room and see if I have one. Get up there, have it, run it down. You think like she was kind of having a stroke. She was so out of it. I'm like, just put this in your mouth. Like, you don't have to go full first. Like, take a little bit, give it a moment, and then you could take more. You don't have to take the whole thing because she never used it before. And she took it, and the first words out of her mouth was like, oh shit, you weren't lying. I feel brand new. And that doesn't taste bad at all. Like, that was really helpful. And I'm like, it was one of those moments too where it could have gotten way worse than better quickly if it wasn't for something like that where it does hit your bloodstream right away. So for you, what is it like sometimes hearing those different moments of those electrolyte boost moments as you're going through your day to day?
I love it. I mean, it's a perennial smile, and I hear it, relatively frequently, and obviously more and more because more and more people are using it and buying it, and what have you. Somebody sent me last week. Their daughter is a Division I swimmer, and she competed in a meet, and for the first time in her life, she was in the finals of 4 her events, and then it was the first time she was taking literally 3 packets a day over the weekend. And she said to her father, you know what, it's this electrolyte boost stuff. I was focused. I performed better. I felt better. I had a higher sense of awareness. So we hear that, and I hear it across people with migraines. We hear all the time, if an onset of a migraine, take 2 packages and it dissolves and it goes away. So, I love hearing those. The athletic endeavors one, those are kind of low hanging fruit. We understand it. But when we hear somebody, coming out of a hot tub, that's cool. When we hear people that are on dialysis, right, that have fluid issues, or someone I know very close whose daughter has been on a feeding tube for, oh my God, 6 years now, and she can't drink water. And she can take this and feel better about going on with their day and going to class and being able to be focused and being able to pay attention and feeling better. So yeah, every time I hear that, or my kids will call me and they go, we need some more. When my grandkids come here, they know where my stash is, and it's boom, that's where they go first. Every once in a while, I mess with them and I move it, and then they go, where's the booze? So it's great. It will cure a hangover. We don't market it that way, but it does cure a hangover, because that's what electrolytes can do for you. So it really has, a multitude of applications for functional nutrition, and that's really our goal, is to create as many line extensions and as many hero ingredients to put in to address different aspects of nutrition with our base formula of electrolytes and citicoline.
And that being said, in the aspect of continuously innovating and hearing different feedback and going, okay, can we do something like this? What else can we be doing? How has the process been for you in twofold? The one, starting Electrolyte Boost and seeing what worked and didn't work and being able to pivot. And then now, fast forward to its success and hearing all these stories and going, okay, how can we continuously innovate to offer more wellness to diverse people?
Yeah, so the quick answer for the first question is, a psychic told me many, 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 many years ago that I will be eternally discontented. And I don't think that psychic is wrong. So I just see things and go, why can't I address it? Right? I almost feel obligated to address it. So, with Electrolyte Boost, seeing that water's an issue in disaster, it's unavailable or contaminated. So that's one side of it. In sport, you don't want the slosh and the weight of water. That's a whole nother side. So the application for something like this is enormous. And it's one of our biggest challenges, is where do you focus? Where's the best use case as we grow? We start actually tomorrow on one of the military bases at the exchange. We start selling, because that's obviously a great place for us to be. So when I see that, it's phenomenal to see people like your experience. Warms my heart, as they say, because that's the reason this exists. In terms of innovation, we are innovating by science, so that, and everyone knows internally in our organization, the only person that truly controls our delete button are our two science officers, right? So we don't say anything that they don't allow us to say. So we won't make a claim that the product is going to do something that it is not going to do, which is kind of why we don't market ourselves as a hydration product per se. We are extending and prolonging your current hydration and elevating your brain health, but we don't hydrate you per se, because you're not taking fluids. The interesting thing in the ingredient world on a global basis is there are really cool things happening with nootropics, and very cool things happening with, mental health. And, if you look at even the power of Ozempic and Wegovy and all these ingredients that have a purpose, and all of a sudden its off-label purpose is very efficacious. So with AI in that world, there are a lot of things that are going on that we can address for everybody, as long as it's water soluble, it is a powder, and it doesn't have a horrific taste that we can't mask. So I think the innovation is really all science. And I speak to our two science officers, oh my God, one of them twice a day, because she'll say things, and we're working on something that I'll be with our flavor house and blender next week. There are some things that we're working on that, if it actually works, I think it will, is a game changer in nutrition and health. And that's only because of the innovation in science. And because we are so science-based, and our two science officers are so wonderfully connected to the community, that they hear about things and they say, well, what about this? And my attitude is try it. Let's give it to the lab and try it. See what happens. And all the hero ingredients that we add have clinical research behind it. So we sleep well at night. We don't make claims we can't make. One for the FDA and legally, but more so by clinical science and research. So that's where the innovation comes from. Some people will say, hey, you know what? Do you think you can address this? And I take that and I forward it to the science team and go, can we do this? So that's really what the future holds. Our ultimate goal is if you were to go into a store, a drugstore, that you will see our product in the brain health section, the hydration section, the gut health section, the sleep section, and that there is an electrolyte boost formulation for each one of those. And that doesn't exist today, right? I want to do a line extension and put aspirin in this, because if you're taking aspirin, I don't care who you are, what it is, you're taking it for whatever the condition is, that is generally some cramping, fever, all the things that you're tired. And this base formulation with aspirin will address all those. So you don't have to go take 5 different products. And we can do it without you taking water. And a lot of people don't take pills. They can't take pills. They choke it up, they spit it out. And the coating takes time to erode to get through your stomach and all those things. So if you really have a headache or you are dehydrated or feeling somewhat dehydrated, we can address that in literally 2 minutes. As you said, in your own personal experience, it is that fast.
And I think that's the thing too. I look back and I very much will boost other people up, but on, for example, my platform and this podcast, I very rarely spend most of the time promoting a product that someone develops. And people listening are probably like, she never does this, but that's how passionate I am about this. And at least taking the time to order it and try it, because I've never said this, and so this will also be the first time Gary's hearing this, but this is a product that when I was 9 years old and diagnosed with epilepsy, I wish I had, because having seizures and having my seizures, I was lucky enough that they evolved over time. I knew the warning systems. I trained my body. I had great physicians. But in those first 2.5, 3 years, I went from not having seizure, and this is really the first year, not having a seizure to no medication can control it. And about when I had them, it was at least once an hour, and they would last 20 seconds. And if anyone's ever gone through it or wondering what that is like, I always use the analogy of it's your cycle of going out and drinking, right? So you're drinking, you're having a good time. All of a sudden, you're going, oh, I'm starting not to feel that great. Well, that's what it's like starting to have a seizure. Oh, I'm starting to brown out. Well, that's as the seizure's coming on and happening. And I'm now blacked out. Well, that's when you're in the root and the eye of that seizure that you're happening, whether it's a grand mal or an acute seizure. Someone who experiences that, it's very rare. And I was one of the rare cases that I got it to a point where I can communicate and hear you, and my brain would somehow be able to retain that information. That is very rare. But when you get done having any form of a seizure, you feel so drained. It takes your body a while to get back to the groove of things. You are dehydrated, and it is like you're recovering from a night out of drinking. And so I always use that analogy when it comes to epilepsy to try to explain the process. But when I got done some of those severe seizures, and I was just feeling dehydrated, so drained, needing that time to cognitively catch up, but also physically catch up to where I was right before that seizure. This would have been something that would have helped me recover faster.
And it does. And for those of your passionate listeners, it tastes like pixie sticks. If you remember the candy pixie sticks, it's very similar to that, or a powdered sweet tart. So it's got a tartness, but it tastes great. You don't get dry mouth. It really is candy like. And we're proud of that, because most people that take these supplements are always afraid that that they're going to taste terrible and medicinal, and you're going to go, why did I like that? This is candy. And that's intentional. That's why, it took a year and a half to formulate it. And fortunately now we have it. And I'm proud of the team that has put it together, from our science team to our marketing folks and our partnership folks and everything else. Everybody's passionate about not only what we're doing for people in active lifestyles, but really what we're doing for people that are not being addressed. Like I said earlier, when the oncology patients and the senior citizens that don't take enough of fluids or electrolytes. And you can actually take this powder and sprinkle it on your oatmeal. You can put it in your acai bowl. You can do anything you want with it. And it's just the fastest absorption is through your tongue and cheek.
For you, I want to ask the question of, what was it like being so eager and seeing the end goal in mind? And like you said countless times today, going, okay, this will take like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and a year and a half later, it just comes to fruition. What was that process as an entrepreneur, as an innovator for you? What was that like?
Oh, I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got to have, I think, one quality, and not everybody does. You have to be really comfortable with risk, because the entire journey is full of risk. The other belief I have is it's not about if, it's about when. And the when sometimes is frustrating, and actually far too often it's frustrating. But if you're committed and you have the right people, it comes. You do this because you care about it. You do it because you believe in it, and you just keep refining and get better. And we have a very strong motto that we test and tweak everything, and that's true with formulas. That's true with marketing. That's through events. We test it, we tweak it, we grow it. We test it, we tweak, we grow. And that's true on Amazon and our own site. We're in the process of modifying our site to be more educational. So it's always about testing and tweaking, learning. We are on our third iteration of our package. The one that you just put up, which looks like a bottle, is no longer, because it's more of a challenge to tear at the top. So it now looks like this. It's the same size without the bottle cut out, and it just tears and pours substantially easier. So we're always learning, and we're always saying, okay, what did we learn? And there's no ego. There's a lot of pride, but there's no ego. So if we have a suggestion, we go, okay, let's try it. Let's see how it works. So and it's rewarding. It's rewarding to hear your stories. It's rewarding to see my friends and family going, I want some more, right? It's good every time I see an order go through, or we're on Amazon and you see your ranking go up, and we get phone calls from universities that are now handing it out to their students because too many are on Adderall. So that's really rewarding, and it's certainly motivating to continue to do what we do. It is an enormous amount of work to build a brand, and thank God I have a phenomenal team that sit on this journey with me.
And I love how you brought up different aspects of, as you're on this journey, remembering that angle and remembering that it isn't, I love how you said it isn't about if, it's about when. Because sometimes when we're in the mud of things, we forget and we're like, is it even possible? Am I even doing something? But sometimes you have to rely on your passion, your knowledge, your experience, the team you have around you to go, it is. It's just taking longer than we planned. And it is okay to pivot. And I think going, we're just pivoting the end, the end zone. We're just moving that end zone out a little bit. That's okay. It's still there. It's just getting moved. I think as
Yeah,
an
your
entrepreneur,
destination is always going to change. What you start out with, if you get focused and you only want that one result, and you're not open to input, and in our world, consumer input or science input, whatever that happens to be. If you're not receptive to that, you're going to die. You have to understand that my vision doesn't mean it's the vision. It really is a group vision. Somebody ultimately, like me, has to make a decision at some point, but the information and the facts that we digest in order to make what we believe to be the best decision comes from 1,000 different places.
and I think it's so important in how you highlighted as well the aspect that it is about the teamwork, the team development, hearing and not putting that ego in place and going, well, I'm the big man in charge. This is my idea. You just get in line. It's about going, okay, what are people saying? What are people needing?
I
And
say,
understand.
yeah, Olivia, I say all the time in almost every meeting, I just had an idea. I mean, I'm not science. I've hated science since the last frog I dissected in high school chemistry or whatever it was. With the formaldehyde, I can still say I hate science. I just saw a gap and it needed to be filled, I thought. And then I brought the right people in to help me fill it and to listen to them because
So Gary, what
that's
would
what it is.
be Gary, what would be something that you would want anyone listening to take away when it comes to electrolyte boost? And like just changing their thinking on using electrolytes and putting that into their daily routine or using electrolyte boost to make sure they're really using it to be effective.
One is that you can use it every day, multiple times a day, right? You're not going to probably take 4 of the electrolyte powdered drinks every day and drink 16 ounces. You can take 5 of these in a given day. So if you have a more strenuous day, you can take 3 or 4 of these, right? If you have a less strenuous day, take 1. I think, what we want people to understand is functional nutrition is critically important. The best way to get the dose is directly into your blood system. This will do it. And it will do it in a way that is obviously easy because, you can put 15 of these in a cargo pocket and not know it's there, or a backpack when you hike or wherever it happens to be. So it's easy, it's efficient, it tastes fantastic in and of itself, and it works. And you'll be able to perform at your best level, whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're, like I said, driving a truck, playing football, marching in line on an army, whatever it is that your life is, this product will help you perform at a substantially higher level than not taking it. And that's what I want people to know. And that's why we're here. And if anybody has their electrolyte boost moment, send me a note at Gary@electrolyteboost.com. I answer every single email, even the ones that I might not like. Go to electrolyteboost.com. That's where it is. You can find us on Amazon. We're starting to be in some gyms if you're on some military bases. But try it, like it. I love feedback, good, bad, or otherwise. And that's why we're here. And if you have suggestions for conditions, if you will, that you would like us to address, tell me what it is, and I can guarantee you that email will be in the scientist's hands in about 5 minutes.
Well, I love that, Gary, and you've started the wrap up for me, which is perfect. So I don't even need to ask you how people can get in contact with you because you did it for us. So,
There you
Gary,
go. There you
Thank
go.
you for all of your insight today and this conversation that we got to have. I always really, truly enjoy talking to you and hearing all about the amazing things Electrolyte
As
Boost.
I do with you, and my final words to everybody is just stay boosted.
I love that, and a great way to go into a few of our key takeaways from today's conversation. Based on Gary's story, he really asked himself and challenged others to why not do electrolytes in a powderless form? Why does it have to be through water? Those simple questions that dawned on Gary, and even scientists were like, no, it can't be done. Everything's through water. And he challenged them, why not? And they went back and came back. They went and came back and said, oh, wait, it can be done. And this could be great. So asking yourself sometimes, why not? And challenging others to ask why not can really develop a lot of breakthroughs, as well as innovate by science. You don't need to innovate sometimes through this idea that has not been tested or has backing behind it. Like Gary said, they always innovate through the science. Let the science speak, the data speak, and innovate that way, as well as have the attitude to just try it, right? When we talk about Electrolyte Boost and some of the things that why we might not want to try it, just try it. Just order a pack, get it. Like Gary said, when he runs his team and someone comes to him with an innovative idea, or hey, do you think this could work? He says, just go and try it. Or as he said, he loves feedback. And if you come to him with an idea as a customer, he will look at it, as well as bring passion to the table. I think Gary amplified this in every aspect of talking about Electrolyte Boost. So that's just a pure example. As well as an entrepreneur, you have to be okay with risk. And I think this is really important because for any entrepreneur out there, I think we can all speak to this. You always live in risk. And if you can't live in the risk, it might not be the best fit, because no matter how many years into business you are, there's always the risk. It's never going to change. And no matter how comfortable you think you could get into it, or, oh, in 6 months to a year, it's going to pass, that one risk might pass, but there's a new one around the corner, as well as test, tweak, and grow. Gary says this about Electrolyte Boost and how he continues to innovate and come up with new ideas. And I think that's really important. As well as just try it and just stay boosted. I think every day, no matter where we are in our lives, so much of societies just keep moving, go from one thing to the next, one meeting to the next throughout the day, like I'm doing today. And that's why I joke Electrolyte Boost is next to me, because I know if I go 5 minutes over in one area, I might be delayed throughout my day and can't eat lunch. Well, I can make sure I'm still getting my electrolytes. So definitely go try it out. I'm telling you, I very rarely will promote a product and continuously promote it, but this is it. So this was a great episode with our top-notch guest, Gary Kleinman. Thank you for listening and have a successful day.